Next is Southampton with their poor home record against Chelsea, who are still unbeaten at St Mary's. Simon Brotherton.
This season has started very promisingly for you. Are you beginning to feel that you can maintain a good challenge at the top end?
Now I think exactly what I thought 1 week ago. That City and Liverpool are a step forward us. And so now we are working and we are trying to cover the gap.
We had a chance at 0-0. I think Danny Ings' chance that goes in. He may well have maybe put us into a different frame of mind, and we could have really got on the front foot. We never did that really throughout the game. Never got really any momentum. A little bit fearful of the ability that Chelsea had, and sometimes you've got to be brave on the pitch and take a chance, do the hard yards and affect your oppositions, and for long periods we weren't able to do that.
My fitness levels and my performances are continuing to improve now. I'm in a good routine again now, you know, with a lot of injuries last season, but you know that's behind me now, and I'm feeling really strong, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Jermaine, he had a good game today, and he gave a really interesting interview during the week ahead of the Europa League, where he says he feels like he's being taught under Sarri how to play that midfield role, and you could see he's flourishing.
Well, he is, and you know, I suppose I don't think Sarri would be putting him in the position ahead of players like Ruben Loftus-Cheek. By the way, he's off the back of a World Cup for England. If he didn't believe in him, if he didn't think that he could fit into the system the way that he wants him to, and I think he's took his time since arriving at Chelsea. What I really liked about his performance today, and what I think he's lacked at times, is kind of making decisions himself. Things like that, taking shots on from 25 yards. You know he's got that. You know, being more aggressive in midfield, rather than just doing those nice things, getting on the ball, passing 5 yards, passing 10 yards. That's easy in a Chelsea team. Today, what I liked, I just thought he had an impact on the side. He played his role. We've spoke about what Jorginho has done since his ride, and Kovacic, and we know what Fabregas and Kante can do. And I thought it was a good moment for Ross Barkley to kind of show what he can do as a midfield player for Chelsea. He deserved his goal. Fantastic, obviously, volley from Giroud, but he deserved his goal. And then he started to show more elements of flair, getting balls in kind of more dangerous areas, having a bit more tenacity about his play. And another thing you'll start to recognise is players starting to react off him now, knowing, having worked with him for a longer period of time, that they're going to get balls like this. They're going to get those deliveries into spaces when he makes those runs. It was a very productive afternoon for Ross Barkley, and I think for himself and for England, it was a positive step in his Chelsea career.
Be interested what you both think of this, and you go first, Alan, because the gist of the interview as well was when he broke into that Everton first team, he'd come from the youth team, he was young, and at the youth team he felt like you go through the analysis, you look at every way of improving, your coaches are always on top of you, he says, but then when you get to the first team, a first-team manager's, it's about the system and the bigger picture and weekly results, not player development. Well,
results shouldn't be important at youth level. It's about developing the player as an individual and then passing them on to the first team. What's always been the problem with Ross, I think, is apart from having a serious injury, is that where's his best position? Was it holding midfield player? Was it sitting in a 10? And I think the penny might have dropped with him now also, that he understands the game a lot more and what's required of him to be successful in a successful team. And it seems as if that's happening now, but he's also playing with better players now. It's no coincidence that he's starting to show what people thought he had. He can pick his head up now and pick a pass. Look at the players he's playing with, Jorginho. Look at what Kante did for some of the players at Leicester. He's now in that team with the likes of him, so he's bound to shine now. And also, he looks a lot fitter now than he has done. He's 24 years of age now. Come the next birthday is 25, so he should start now to know and understand the game a lot more than he did 4 or 5 years ago.
But he said to us off air, you know, he was just told as a striker, put the ball in the back of the net. But if the midfield is a little bit more subtle, and sometimes you're deeper, and sometimes you're playing 10, or sometimes you might be slightly out wide, then do you need to be taught more how to play that role as a youngster?
I think, yes, there needs to be a level of understanding as to how to play that role, and the subtle changes within games that maybe you need to be helped out a little bit with. But my issue is you should be told once, twice max, and if you don't get it by then the issue is your issue. It's not the manager's issue anymore. I think with Ross Barkley, there may have been a little bit of that. There may have been a little bit of too much on young shoulders at Everton, because I felt like he was playing in behind Lukaku a lot of the time, and people were asking for 15, 20 goals a season from him, and he was getting heavily criticised for that. I don't think he wasn't part of it. He wasn't mature enough to be doing that at that point. I think within this team, like Al said, with better players around him, and maybe a manager that is a little bit more particular about the way that he wants him to play. I think he's not the only one. I think Fabregas came out and said something recently about he feels different sensations, I think is the word that he used, you know, under what Sarri's asking him to do. So Ross is only going to benefit. But as a young player, definitely you need to take on information
quick. It's right
quick.
that he's got the England call up again, because we're not exactly blessed in that position with players who in midfield who can pick that up and pick a pass. So it's right he's in the squad.
Okay.